Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Gridiron Headliners. I'm your host, Arush, and I'm with.
I'm Deepak.
I'm Rohit.
I'm Aditya.
So today we're going to introduce a new guest, Shreyas. Shreyas is another sports fan, and he's a great fan of the Baltimore Ravens. So we're lucky to have him on our show.
I just wanted to say I'm a big fan of this podcast.
Thank you
very
Shreyas.
much.
Okay, so our topic for today is related to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So last season, the Ravens went 14-2 in the regular season. So the question is, will the Ravens regress from last season? Shreyas, what's your take on this?
I believe that we will definitely get better this year as a team. First of all, our team is relatively young. Our offense, especially, like you can see, like the marquee players such as Marquise Brown. Like you can look at Nick Boyle, Mark Andrews. These guys just came out of college. They came out of the 2017, 2018, 2019 draft. So especially like last year in the playoffs, they missed a lot of catches and stuff like that. So I feel like this year around they'll be much better. I also feel our coaching staff is really good. Don Martindale really likes to put a lot of pressure on opposing teams' offenses, and we also got some really good players via trade. Like we got Derek Wolfe from the Broncos. We drafted Patrick Queen from LSU, I think he'll really help us on the defensive side of the ball, especially with our pass rush. Especially, we also got Malik Harrison as well from Ohio State. He's also a really good player, and also we re-signed a lot of our other we re-signed a lot of our linebackers and our defensive backs. We got Calais Campbell from Jacksonville, so I think that'll be a really good addition. He was really good in Arizona, and he's always been really good at getting sacks and just being disruptive on the defensive side of the ball. And then also, I feel like Greg Roman really knows how to utilize Lamar Jackson's strengths. I feel Lamar Jackson will take the next step. He obviously, I think this year around teams will kind of have a plan on how to stop him. But I feel like he will kind of develop his arm a little bit. I mean, he may not be able to throw as well as like some of the greats like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and stuff like that. But I feel like he can probably kind of get those 10 to 15-yard passes much more accurately. And I feel like that will really be able to help him out, especially as he establishes a good running game with Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram.
I feel like they went 14-2 last season. I don't think they're gonna go 15-1. Okay, they're just not. It's not gonna happen. Lamar, it was just one season was good. It was really good last season, but I don't think he can replicate it. I feel like more teams are gonna figure him out. Just like Colin Kaepernick, he was a really good running quarterback, and then a lot of teams figured him out. So I think same thing might happen with Lamar. I don't think Lamar will. He has to be more of a passer than a runner. Maybe if he converts that way, maybe he can figure something out. But I don't think that he's gonna have as good of a season as he did last season.
Yeah, so I think that the Ravens, I think that they could possibly regress. The only reason is because Lamar Jackson, he takes too many hits, and then also some of his offensive linemen retired, like Marshall Yonda. He's one of the best offensive linemen in pro football, and he retired this offseason. So, and then also, but the thing that the Ravens could, like, of areas they could possibly improve is they drafted J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State. He's a great running back and should add a lot of versatility to their run game. They also signed Calais Campbell for like zero money because the Jaguars are really bad at personnel management. So I think the Ravens' defense will be much stronger than last year, but their offense might regress in some areas.
Yeah, so I don't think the Ravens are going to regress at all from last year because, like Shreyas said, they added Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell. On the defensive end, they still have their solid secondary with Marlon Humphreys, Marcus Peters, and Earl Thomas. They also, in the draft, added Patrick Queen, who gives them that speed that they were lacking last year at the middle linebacker position. And they also added new dynamic weapons on the offensive side with J.K. Dobbins to expand the run game and Devin Duvernay to add another deep threat. Along with Marquise Brown. So unless Lamar himself regresses, which I don't think is going to happen, the Ravens are not going to regress as a team because they have the easiest schedule according to last year's records. But to Deepak's point, I do agree with the fact that the Ravens might be in trouble if they don't evolve their system and if defenses catch up because of what happened to Sean McVay and the Rams this past season.
Also, I think that the Ravens have a lot of scheduling breaks. They do play the easiest division in the NFL. They play the NFC East with 2 rebuilding teams. And then they also play the AFC South with the Jaguars rebuilding. So those are possibly some scheduling breaks for them.
I don't think the Ravens will regress. I think they'll go around 12-4 and 13-3. I think the roster in general is way too talented
That's regressing.
to
13-3
regress.
is worse than 14-2. That's called
Okay,
regress.
but there'll still be an elite team. So I don't
Obviously, they'll still be in the league. They're like the second best team in their conference.
Okay, fine. If that's considered regressing, okay, then I don't think they'll replicate a 14-2 season, but they'll still be an elite team. The roster is way too talented to have a steep drop off. I think they had 12 Pro Bowlers last year. And they added players like Calais Campbell, J.K. Dobbins, and Patrick Queen. And also last year, Marquise Brown played most of the season with like screws in his foot. So he wasn't, he was injury riddled last year. And this year, with a healthier team and Lamar developing more offensively, I just don't think it's possible for them to have a steep drop off like the Rams, for example, after their Super Bowl loss.
Yeah, so I would agree with the fact that the Ravens they drafted really well this year. I think they're one of the teams that were considered to win the draft and also win the offseason as a whole. With since they signed a lot of free agents and they drafted really well. So I think that the Ravens will be a great force in the AFC this year, as long as Lamar does not play poorly in the playoffs.
What do you guys think about Antonio Brown potentially signing with the Ravens?
Go ahead.
So I think Antonio Brown, I think his situation is more drama than actual substance. Like he just posts some workout videos with notable NFL stars like Russell Wilson and Lamar, and also Deion Sanders. So I think that I don't even know if the NFL is really any NFL team can sign it because of all the allegations on Antonio Brown. So I don't even know if that's actually a possibility. But if Antonio Brown were to be signed by the Ravens, I think they would be instant Super Bowl favorites.
I don't believe that they will sign Antonio Brown because Ozzie Newsome is known for getting players at kind of cheap deals, and Antonio Brown is not one of those people who's going to sign for less money. As he's made it clear with Oakland and even with the Patriots, even though he was fine with playing with Tom Brady at first, I just feel that we are such a young team that he would kind of disrupt our chemistry in the fact that we're bringing in someone else who would take away the attention away from Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin, who are just developing young receivers, which may kind of stunt their growth.
Yeah, I just believe it when I see it. I don't think that Antonio Brown is done by so much drama that I don't think that anyone will sign him. But someone signs him, okay, but I don't think that. Why would anyone want to bring that drama into their team? Especially the Seahawks. You sign Josh Gordon, but whatever. That's a different story. I just don't think that the Ravens will do that.
Yeah, I think if they sign him, he's going to be more detrimental to the team than whatever positives he brings. So probably not. I don't think so.
I mean, he wanted to curb his diva attitude when he was in New England, but because like he just wanted to win with Tom Brady. So I think he might like curb his attitude with the Ravens because of like Lamar. He was MVP last year, and then he's like the Ravens are projected to be like Super Bowl.
Yeah, but
I think.
But do you trust him though? But do you trust him though to do that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so why would anyone?
Okay.
Why would any team take the risk of signing him to a contract if he doesn't like? I don't know. It's hard to trust him though, right? Because
I mean, it really depends on whether the GM, the head coach, and all the coaching staff and all the players too. Like if the whole organization trusts Antonio Brown or not. That's what it comes down to.
To your point about Tom Brady and him like curbing his diva attitude in New England, I think the main reason he did that was because Tom Brady's the GOAT, and like you can't really argue against him because he's that guy in New England. Because he's established, he has Super Bowl rings, MVPs, all that. So he can't really bring his diva attitude there. But with a team like Baltimore that's so young and isn't like established yet, Lamar hasn't done much in the league except win an MVP. And if you see Antonio Brown's posts on his Instagram, it's pretty clear that he still thinks he's one of the greatest players of all time. So I feel like if he goes into that locker room, he'll sort of take that alpha role away from Lamar Jackson, and that'll destroy their internal chemistry. The talent is there, but I think his attitude is nobody should take a risk on that.
Yeah, that's why I think he's better suited for a team like the Seahawks with Russell Wilson. Also, Shreyas, how many Super Bowls is Lamar gonna win over his career?
I think that if we retain like the same head coach, I think our coaching staff is easily one of the best in the league. So if we kind of retain these same kind of coaching staff and keep developing around Lamar, I think we could Lamar could have somewhere between 3 and 4 Super Bowls.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
3 and 4?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No, I don't think that's a bit unrealistic.
You think like 1 or 2? Because like
1 is most.
See the thing with Lamar,
maybe 2. Because like the thing is like getting to the Super Bowl itself is hard, and in like a stacked conference, like now the AFC's like getting more stacked over the years. They're gonna have like some like college, like crazy athletic college quarterbacks gonna go to like probably the Jaguars or something. So then and then like also Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, who's there for the next 10 years. So
No.
So,
Here's where I see this from last year's playoffs, and the year before playoffs when we lost to Kansas City. The year before when Joe Flacco was gone. Lamar Jackson has improved so much since then. Obviously his arm is still developing. He's still running a lot and stuff like that. But I feel that over time, obviously he's gonna lose his agility, right? Like he's a young guy right now, right? But like as he gets older, he's gonna have to develop his arm, and he realizes that. Like he even admitted after he lost that he needs to develop his arm, and he understands that that's what he has to do, and he's willing to take that challenge to do it. And I feel like we can't doubt him based on the fact that he improved so much from last year. He improved so much. Like even though he ran a lot, and even though a lot of people criticized him for using his legs too much, and the fact that he could get injured, I feel like he can really easily take this next step forward.
So the thing with Lamar for me is versus a guy like Patrick Mahomes or like Russell Wilson, we haven't seen the Ravens really fight back from down big scores. Usually the Ravens just run the ball and run out the clock, and usually they're up early, and that's why they finish off games like that. But in last year's playoffs, we saw Mahomes was down by a lot, multiple scores in multiple different games, and we saw the ability to take over and to win the game. And so we haven't really seen something like that from Lamar. So if it was like a Ravens-Chiefs matchup and it comes down to it, and you know how playoff games are usually close at the end, we just haven't seen Lamar, take that game over himself and win it for the team. So I don't think he'll be able to win 3 or 4 Super Bowls if he isn't dependable in clutch situations.
Keep
going.
Straight. Listen. So like Lamar is like great when playing with the lead, as we saw in the playoff game. It was 14-6 at halftime. Tennessee was up, right? But when Tennessee scored, like in the third quarter, it was over. The game was over. Like Lamar could not respond. So
I mean,
that's the
yeah, he
thing
just
about Lamar.
he just made too many mistakes though.
He plays sort of situation. That's the only thing. And then
Yeah, I mean, I think also that part of that can be due to the fact that we're such like even last year, like Earl Thomas was the only guy on our team who'd really ever gone to the Super Bowl. Like our team was so young last year that we had no one who had any playoff experience. So our team as a whole last year was completely unexperienced. So I feel like this, like especially next year.
Didn't you go to the playoff the year before last year?
No, like
yeah, exactly.
no. But what happened was that we dumped Joe Flacco. We dumped a lot of our old guys. We kind of ripped a lot of those players because Ozzy wanted to rebuild with through Lamar. So basically, we basically like took a lot of those players and we basically just shipped them out to other teams. So basically, last year, like in the playoffs, we were relatively young. So I feel that this year, like we're gonna get more playoff experience. Like over time, we're gonna get more playoff experience. Guys are gonna know what they have to do. They're gonna build that mentality when they go to the playoffs, and that will help them out.
Yeah, but
Harbaugh won a Super Bowl. That's literally playoff experience.
Exactly.
He's a Super Bowl winning coach. What more
Yeah.
experience do you want?
I'm not. No, that's what I said. I really believe that the coaching staff is one of the best coaching staffs because all of our coaching staff have coached in Super Bowls before. But I feel like our players are like really really young. Like our like last year, like even against Jacksonville, our guys like Mark Andrews and Nick Will had like our whole wide receiver core. I believe had like 10 drops that should not have happened. Like they were like such easy throws. That there were such catchable throws that they completely missed it, and that was just unforced. Those are just unforced errors. Okay, and I feel like we can. Yeah.
My point is, how can you say that Lamar will win like 3 to 4 more Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes in the same conference? And Patrick Mahomes, remember, like he was down 24-0 and 10-0 in and 20-10 in all the playoff games, right? And he still won all of them. Like Patrick Mahomes is like almost the same quarterback everywhere, like in any situation. So how would you say that the Ravens would win 3 to 4 more Super Bowls when they're facing Mahomes like almost like every year maybe in the AFC Championship?
Because I feel it's honestly going to be a battle between the Chiefs and the Ravens, right? Like those are the top two teams like right now. Yeah. Like I think you see it, right? And Lamar's 23 years old, right? He's still a really really young guy. Like he's got like at least another like 7, 8 years of like solid play. Like he can like easily he can easily develop in those 7, 8 years. Like till 30, you've got a really good chance. Like he's definitely going to get definitely like 2 or 3 he's definitely going to get definitely like 2 Super Bowls before he's 30. I believe he's going to get 2 Super Bowls before he's 30 because he's still extremely young. Like who else do you see? Like you said that AFC has gotten better and stuff, but I mean, have they really really gotten better? I mean, the Patriots Brady's now in the Buccaneers, right? Like you see a lot of teams that are shifting to the NFC. Like a lot of good teams are now in the NFC. Actually, kind of the AFC, in my opinion, that's actually kind of gotten worse. Unless you look at the Chiefs. And then and even the Steelers, right? They just got Roethlisberger back from being injured, right? So I mean, right? I mean, like there's not really a lot. I mean, the Texans are coming around, but their coach is there who's not really a great coach. Their defense is out of place, right? There's too many factors that are still like in teams that they just don't have. Like they don't have the right pieces in a lot of teams in the AFC, except in my opinion, the Chiefs and the Ravens.
The thing is, right, it's like a rising conference. It's a rising. They have like 2 Tagovailoa.
Joe Burrow.
Trevor Lawrence is going to go to the Jaguars. He's probably going to go there. And then like Sam Darnold, like he's on the rise, but like with Adam Gase, he's probably not going to go anywhere.
Josh Allen.
If they fire Adam Gase, then probably the Jets will be a good team. And then the Bills too. You're forgetting about the Bills. They almost won the division last year. They went 10-6, and then. This year, I think their defense is really good. Josh Allen will also develop, and then they also added Stephon Diggs, who was like the best deep threat in the league. So I think the AFC.
I think Bills are a division threat, but I don't think they're a conference threat. There's only 2 teams that are like solid conference. That's the Chiefs and the Ravens. No one else.
I think the thing about Lamar, just to wrap it up here, is that the reason he's so special is his combined threat of running and throwing. And so, this was his first real season coming into his own, winning an MVP. And so that read option threat of, whether he's going to pass it off to the running back or run across the field is what made the Ravens so special. But if he keeps taking hits, like Arush said, over and over and over time, that's going to add up. He's going to get, slower. It's going to add up. He's going to take injuries. And, I don't think their offense is going to be as lethal. And so if you remove that element of running from Lamar's game and then compare him directly to quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes, can you definitively say that the Ravens can beat those teams for 3 Super Bowls, for example? I don't think so.
Yeah, me too.
I completely agree with you about what you guys are saying, but you guys are judging Lamar Jackson from the perspective of 2 seasons, right? So like, there's still a lot of time for him to grow. I completely agree. Like last year, he used a lot of quarterback sneaks. He used like 2 tight ends in order for he and Mark Ingram to get a lot of rushing yards. That's not going to work. A lot of teams are going to be able to develop teams this year in order to stop that. But I feel like I really believe our coaching staff can develop new plays and new schemes around Lamar Jackson. I feel like Lamar Jackson will learn to really, really throw the ball, and he'll definitely never become one of those Brett Favre-like quarterbacks. But I believe he'll be able to definitely pass much more comfortably.
Okay, so that wraps up our discussion on Lamar Jackson. See you next time on Gridiron Headliners.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.